I've done loads of rebuilds in college football 25, but this one's really going to test my recruiting abilities because maxing out the tactician tree is the easiest way to build a championship contender in this game. But what if I was restricted to just recruiting upgrades? I'll be on the hardest difficulty with the slowest XP gain, and using Northwestern, we're destined to struggle. They're supposed to be the worst team in the Big Ten next year, so bad that if you put $100 on them to win the conference and they did, you'd get $50,000. I can kind of see why though. This is the starting roster that we're going to be working with. If I go over to the quarterback position, Aiden Gray is a sophomore, is a 73. And like in most of my rebuilds, quarterback's one of the first positions I look to replace, even though this kid has a very high ceiling. I'm always thinking about even farther into the future though. After the next couple of years, there's only about 20 guys that would still be on this roster. And without being able to use tacticians to boost our overall, I'm not sure how we're ever going to compete in the Big Ten. As just a recruiter, I need to be wise about how I build out this board, and I'm always going to add players from our state, Illinois, even if they're 5 stars. Because one day, I'd like to think that we could sign somebody like Eric Maffey, but as the number 5 player in the country, we're probably going to fall short this year. By the time I'm done building out this board, you're going to see there's a couple 4-star gyms that we're also targeting. Basically, everybody on our board at the moment is from Illinois. I felt like that gave us a higher chance at signing some of these prospects. Colt Rubin is the exception though, because I'd like to have him at quarterback. We only have 450 hours to spend a week, which is going to make this pretty challenging. Besides being a level 1 head coach, I am getting a couple boost from the coordinators that we have at the moment, but going forward, I'll try to just find coordinators that are recruiters only. And I simply just have 5 coach points to spend, so until we start leveling up a bunch, there's no reason to go into anything yet. To level up though, we have to win games, and I can hop into up to 3 regular season games every year. But that means I need to be smart about the ones that we pick, and I think we're going to do it at Tulane just to see if we can beat them and get a level up early on. They're definitely a solid program. I just like our chances here more than some of our Big Ten opponents. And let's see what Aiden Gray is all about. I know he's not a scrambler. He only has like 73 speed. So that's going to force me to use a pocket passer, which I don't love. And they just called our wide receiver screenplay perfectly. They just did exactly what they needed to cover it and return it for a pick 6. Granted, could I have just taken the sack and not turned it over? Yes. I have never seen a team counter the wide receiver play as well as they just did right here. I mean, it was perfect execution. But I can't be too upset because as we approach halftime, we're only down by 4, and I did it again. I have done it again. If you're new to the channel, welcome to the Bordeaux channel. These are the turnovers that you should expect like every video. So that'll just add to the challenge of winning it all, which is our only goal with Northwestern. I won't stop this video until we get that championship, though scoring 3 points in our opener doesn't have me feeling great. Another turnover. I was just trying to get us our first touchdown in the final seconds, but it didn't happen. Do you know what did happen though? We leveled up to a level 2 head coach. It's not hard to level up at first, and what we're going to do is we're going to get down to tier 3, always be Cruton for defensive backs, because this will allow us to put another 15 hours into the 5-star corner from Illinois, hopefully increasing our chances of landing him. I think that could actually work out for us, and if I take a look at some of these other players where the hard sells are not going to hit for us, like for example with Bradley, it would be this. This is the only hard sell we could use. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend 30 coach points to use Sway and see if we can get him to care about campus lifestyle and academic prestige as well. This is either going to be a great recruiting tip or a massive failure. We should beat FCS Midwest. And even though I can tell that we did, we're at risk of losing about 10 players to the transfer portal. It also might be the only win that we pick up this year if we can't beat UCLA, because our schedule is really tough. I think I'm going to play the Bruins, and then I'm also going to face Illinois. Just getting one against our rivals, but what that's going to mean for visit weeks is we're not going to be able to use them in this first year. I can schedule guys to come to our school. They're just probably going to watch us lose to whoever we're facing. And since every player had to hit a trust yourself sign before getting out there on the field, I think it's helped us a lot. It could be a good luck charm adding to any home field advantage that we might get. UCLA might also just be that bad. So I'm not sure if taking less money for Nico Iamaleava to transfer there from Tennessee was really worth it. I was about to try and run with Aiden Gray right there, but I forgot. He is a pocket passer. And if we don't pick up this 4th and 14, this game is most likely over, but we're going to be short of the marker either way. They'd pick up a first down and run out the clock from there. But I have some news that's actually beneficial to us. We picked up our first commit in Alexander O'Neal. Of all the receivers from Illinois that I scouted, he was the fastest one, coming in with 92 speed and a takeoff ability. And you're not going to believe this, but the number 1 cornerback in the country, one of his 3 interests was academic prestige. He's from Illinois, so we get the proximity to home boost. And we can even schedule him for a visit on our bye week, so I think we have a real chance at signing a 5-star in year 1. That's some good news because I think it's going to be too late to convince Bradley to come to our school, even if his interests have changed to what we wanted. It was a successful sway, but it's a bit too late. For being a low-level coach, though, I really like how things are shaping up. We just had to be a little patient with recruiting, and we finally were able to sign a 4-star prospect. prospect. It is going to come with a lot of losses though. This tight end chose Missouri, this left end went to Illinois, then we had this quarterback choose Bill Belichick in North Carolina over us, another 4-star defensive lineman choosing our in-state rivals, and then Michigan stealing away this guard, but we are still in first place for the most important player on our board. We also freed up loads of hours to start going after other prospects that we're already considering our school. We've been in first place for these 3 stars for a little bit. Now I'm going to search for a 3-star quarterback, all while we probably lose to Oregon since they're undefeated. Maybe we actually pulled off the upset though. Senior receiver Donnie Gray went for almost 300 yards against them, but I have to take that back. They scored 48 on us. Our defense could not stop them. Ever since we took down FCS Midwest, we have had no luck at all, but the most important week of our season is this bye week. It's when 5-star Eric Maffey's coming on a visit, and I think he's going to commit after it. This is exactly what I am talking about. This is the type of stuff I want to see throughout this entire video, though I don't think we're going to get this lucky for a while again. And what universe are we living in where Purdue is number 2 in the country at 8-0? This was supposed to be one of those games where we could have picked up another win, and we almost did. We only lost by 1. But I have some bad news. It is looking like we're not even going to be able to sign this linebacker because Western Michigan is more appealing. Thankfully, Jamarcus Rochelle would change his mind in the future. Not like he's going to make a massive difference, but that just shows we have a long way to go. And how are the Fighting Illini the number 1 team in the country at 10-1? It looks like Purdue has started to fall off, but the Big Ten has been extremely competitive. And moving forward, without ever being able to have the tactician overall boost, I'm not sure how we're going to win the conference. It's definitely been interesting to play with this team. It's our offense that is the biggest issue. Aiden Gray's about the most incompetent quarterback that I have ever used, but we almost forced a fumble. The fact that we are still in this rivalry with a few minutes left is mind-blowing. Offense has not existed in this game. It's like Michigan, Ohio State from this past year. We're going to get the 4th and 10, but we're going to have to pick up another one here, and it looks like we are going to have them beat deep. Hang on, we might not be out of this game versus the Fighting Illini. If we somehow upset the number 1 team in the first year, that'd be nuts. It is just further proof, though, that they should not be ranked this high, and they hit us with a play action. I have never been less prepared to stop something in my life. I was run committing, but it is all good. It is 3rd and 11. They're going to have to be able to pick this up. It's a one-on-one tackle opportunity, and we get it. After not moving the ball throughout this entire game, there is a slight bit of hope. But I was trying to throw that away with Aiden Gray. It wasn't letting me, and we're going to get this out to our running back who almost cut up there. We've made it a 4th and 10. This is manageable to pick up. Our tight end should catch this. And I wonder what beating the number 1 team in the country would do for our program, even though we just went 1 and 10. It hasn't happened yet, but I do trust myself in these situations to be able to clutch up. We just need to get out of bounds. That's going to allow us to stop the clock, and there's nothing open here, so we're once again going to have to scramble, and we might be able to get there again. Well, it's a good thing that the clock stops for a little bit whenever you pick up a first down. A win here would literally mean everything to us, and I think our crosser's going to be open. We hit it. I did not trust Aiden Gray. I thought he was about to throw an interception. About 30 seconds left on the clock now. We have to be very cognizant of the clock. Not sure if what I just said was even a word. I might be making stuff up. Come on, get into the end zone. Get in. We're going to be at the 1. I think we just got to go back to the run. Our offensive line was looking solid there. We get in, and this is how we're going to take down the number 1 team. Should it have ever been Illinois? No, but I can see why they were stealing so many recruits from us. And I have yet to give up a Hail Mary on College Football 25, so I highly expect this to just go in our favor as well. We're not going to click on. We're not going to give them the chance. And there it is. It is official. We've taken home what looks like a golden hat. Let's see what the rivalry name for this is. The Battle for the Land of Lincoln. Oh, it's Abraham Lincoln. Wait, I thought he was from Kentucky. Okay, I had to look it up, but I was right about it. I thought I remembered growing up hearing that he was born into poverty in a log cabin in Kentucky. He ended up going to Illinois whenever he was like 21. That is why it's important to stay in school. I'm the opposite though. I just do rebuilds for a living. I was running the numbers this morning, and I've already done over 50 rebuilds on College Football 25, which is just mind-blowing. I was taking a look at that. As you can see, we finish at the bottom of the Big Ten. And back to my experience with rebuilds. If there is one thing that is a guarantee, it is that every single time I am going to fire my coordinators whenever I start one. It gives us the opportunity to hire any type of build that we want. I've been searching for a recruiter, and we have finally found it with Eli Reed. So I'm going to bring him in, and then I was looking at the defensive coordinators. I thought this was going to be the best that I could find, but I want pure recruiters, nothing else, and that is what we have with Marcus. We were able to sign both of them, and as a low-level head coach, we should jump up quite a bit during the offseason. It happens even on the slowest Coach XP gain, and that should allow us to go all in on this top recruiter tree, but later on, we should be looking to unlock elite recruiter as well. I think the requirements to unlock it are higher than they should be, but it is what it is. That's what we're working with. You can see Aiden Gray threw for over 3,000 yards, and he also had more touchdowns than interceptions. Not too bad for a 2-10 year. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do if we could get him some better receivers. Joseph Himmon at running back did not have a great year. Donnie Gray is going to be graduating, but Hayden Elgin is just a freshman. There were very few young prospects on this team to get excited about, and even him, as a 6'4 receiver, former 2-star prospect, not going to have too much more room to improve on. But we need stuff like that because I've just been blindly recruiting 3-star receivers without even scouting for their speed. It cost 50 hours, so I didn't think it was worth the investment. Here is the transfers that we're losing, including our starting running back, a couple of linemen, and then the list of seniors that are graduating pretty much consist of all of our top guys. I knew that we were going to have our challenges going into this rebuild, though. At least we've already been able to bring in 17 prospects, with one of them being a 4-star guard, and then of course the number 5 player in the country. So it's certainly not a bad first class, but the 2 transfers that are even interested in Northwestern are awful, so I'm not going to go after them. Fortunately, there were some other 2-star transfers that the game is actually letting us look into, so if I can find anything good here, especially at the quarterback position, I would have been excited. Deshaun Purdy isn't too great though. We're still going to go after him. We have a roster that we have to fill up, and that's why we have up to 31 players on our board. As you can see, I think we're going to be pretty successful getting most of these prospects. We're in first place, but there's most likely always going to be a couple of players that you don't sign. For us, it was AJ McGee. He was just an athlete I would have moved over to defensive line. It's not the end of the world. We were able to sign the 76th best recruiting class. I feel like we got snubbed with this ranking, especially having this many 3-stars and 2-star transfers. Those transfers are typically ranked above the 3-star recruits, so they're going to be solid. But we're just going to have to prove that over time. When it comes to development traits, there were 4 guys that had star dev, including the number 5 player in the country. Eric Maffey was not an elite dev player, but he'll still be great for us, and assuming that Aiden Gray jumps up more during training results, he's going to stay as our quarterback. The roster that's going to be surrounding him is going to be pretty similar to last year's as well, though a lot of our top guys are seniors that we're going to be losing at the end of the year. And since I want to be recruiting large classes every season, what I'm going to do is anytime I see players I don't like in this rebuild that don't have a future, I'm going to encourage them to transfer. I have to keep as many scholarship spots open as possible, which is why I'm also not going to go overboard on offering out red shirts. Ideally, a few seasons from now, we're going to be able to recruit a lot better than we currently can. And there's very few players that have Northwestern in their top 10 to open up the season, but there's 4 4-stars and the number 4 player in the country, so we're going to have to go after Zach Coleman. Without leveling up as much as I thought we would this offseason, I need to be smart about where I spend our 40 coach points still. We need to make sure that we can put the max amount of hours into the 5-star. And you know what? Thinking about it, there's one thing I tend to avoid going down the recruiter tree. It's always tier 4 magnetic personality, but we're going to see if that makes a difference as well, and then I'm going to make sure that we can put more hours into quarterbacks. Well, just judging off of the lead that we jumped into with Zach Coleman, I think that magnetic personality is actually really important. He turned out to be a 5-star gym, which is even better for us, and then we have a 4-star gym, Teddy Allen at quarterback with 95 throw power. He's a field general. I'm really hoping that we can get it. I'll try not to bore you with every player that we're targeting, but Jimmy Kinley at receiver, 97 speed, the shifty ability. We have Brian Ring, a gym with 93 speed. Those are just a couple other prospects we're going after. We probably need to be able to put more hours into receivers. And even Mike Lee is exciting because he is 96 jump and 95 speed, and he is 6'5". If we're going to be able to put more hours into receivers, though, we need to level up fast, and that could come by beating Coastal Carolina. So that is our one and only goal as we head out to play on this hideous teal field. You might disagree with me, but I just don't think it looks good. They decided to run it on 3rd and 7, and they might be able to tie up this game off of one play. Clearly, they should have been running the ball more throughout this game. I couldn't get to that throw. And something clearly went wrong with the kickoff if we are starting this drive on the 5-yard line, but I saw they had man-to-man coverage on our running back with a linebacker, and he's not going to be able to keep up with Reeder. The sophomore running back is gone. What an exciting start to season number 2. It might be Coastal Carolina, but we're currently in an incredibly entertaining game. And I am currently using our 5-star corner where I left that wide open. All we're going to have to do is score a field goal, though, to win, which is very manageable. They're not going to be able to make a play on the ball. And look at Aiden Gray actually doing what we need him to. We're going to take our check down. Reeder is very fast, so he can take us to the 45. And we simply just need to keep this up, though if we have to try and escape the pressure here, I can't believe that we pulled it off. Coach thinks that we're in field goal range, so they're having us run the ball, though we're going to be able to get a lot more with Reeder. And it's going to end up being a 33-yarder for the win over the Chanticleers. Maybe it's the Chanticleers, the Cantaliers, I have no idea how to say it. But that is not important. What is important is what Aiden Gray just did to them. No turnovers, by the way. We're seeing great improvement from him versus what we dealt with last year. But just when I thought everything was going great, we lost by 10 points points to an FCS school, and then Colorado blew us out by 41. We're currently dealing with no injuries, so I don't know how we've gotten this much worse. But I know exactly how we can redeem ourselves, and it all starts with quarterback Teddy Allen, who's coming on a visit in week 4 against Rutgers. If we can take down the Scarlet Knights, get the 4-star gym to commit, that'd be massive. So we're going to bring out the Gothic jerseys, hope that these can help carry us. But we simply are not better than the Scarlet Knights. We find ourselves down by 18 with 6 minutes left. And I don't have too much hope versus them, but maybe we'll be able to get into the end zone. We do that, and then all of a sudden, we're not as far out of this game as I thought we were. But we have to start getting some stops on defense. It really does not help us that they've been able to drive down the field. Though getting that sack does, because they're out of field goal range and they're punting it back to us. At the moment, we don't really have the speed to pull off anything too crazy here, but we do have a 6'4" receiver we could have thrown it up to, except it bounced out of his hands and they have it back. That's the type of luck that we've been dealing with in this game. We're going to have to watch that back. This was supposed to be a great catch that put us around midfield, and instead he just threw it. He literally threw it to him. It's fine. I didn't want to get the 4-star quarterback Jim to commit to our school anyway. That's going to greatly affect our odds of signing Teddy Allen because we just fell behind West Virginia, but you know what? It's okay. We're about to get Zach Coleman, and we might be better off simming instead of having me play. I can't believe that 2 years in, though, we've already been able to sign 2 5-star prospects. And over the coming weeks, we'd lose a couple more games until we finally picked up another win at Indiana. Then we had our bye week visit, which I was hoping would be enough to get either one of these 4-star gyms at receiver to commit. It wasn't. We lost Teddy Allen to Michigan State. But we fortunately been able to bring in these 3 4-stars and then this 4-star as well, just losing a couple other battles, and we're about to lose this one to Penn State for another corner. I really don't think I'm going to go after much more than that though this season. We technically don't need it. And I'd rather pick up quality like Brian Ring is. He actually chose our school. For the receiver I really wanted though, Jimmy Kinley, who had shifty and 97 speed, it's going to come down to the wire against Maryland. I really wish we would have been able to level up faster this year, because then we could have put more hours into him, as he did choose the Terrapins. Once I clear off our board of all the battles that we've lost this season, I feel like we're going to have less than 10 prospects, 9 to be exact. So I went ahead, added a few more prospects to our board that we're going to need, and the last 4-star we need to close out is Jaquez Battle. The elusive back has 92 speed and acceleration plus the 360 ability. But by the time we had simmed to the final game in our season, he still has not committed. We had some close matchups against some big programs, and that's why I'm expecting us to perform against our rivals, especially since they're currently sitting at 4-7. We could really use this final visit week going well. It's not like we're playing in a full stadium, but you know what? Maybe that's a good thing. We have scored 0 points against the Fighting Illini. It's going to finish 32-0, and I don't know why we were able to handle them when they were the #1 team in the country last year, but this is the team we couldn't beat. There were a couple really bad losses this year, but we have gained some amazing recruits. And it's not like we're alone at the bottom of the Big Ten standings either. We were down here with Indiana and UCLA. With Aiden Gray regressing though, it could be time to move on to a different quarterback. Hopefully we get some options in the transfer portal. And I think Deshaun Reeder needs to get some more carries next year. He was averaging 4.5 yards per carry. We just didn't have any good receivers. At least it's still super early on in this rebuild though, so all that can change. We just have to act like it's not a big deal that Matthew Smith is transferring out, one of our best defensive linemen, and then also we have high overall seniors graduating. I was really hoping to luck out with some of our transfer portal options, and we have 2 players inside the top 20, so that's a good start. But I'm not sure if I'm being as aggressive as I should be on these 2 guys, because I'm not going to guess their hard sells. I'm scared of losing the lead that we have on them, but they're probably going to commit after a week and we have them on a visit. It was certainly a little bit of a riskier approach, but it seems like it has paid off. We were able to get both of them. And the only battle that we happened to lose during that time frame was for a 2-star right tackle, so it is not the end of the world. I really wish that transfers got included in training results, because at the moment CJ Turner and Brian Sims III, the 2 transfers, are our highest overall players. But unfortunately, that's not how it works. Brian Chosen is coming in as a 74 overall QB. And after player progression, it's saying that we're up to an 84 overall. I'm not quite sure I believe that. I think we're still going to have to roll with Aiden Gray as a senior. And you best believe there will be a different FCS school on our schedule this year. Hopefully we don't end up losing to them again. We're going to have some struggles in this season. But by the second half of it, things do get a little bit easier, and it looks like there is a 4-star quarterback, Deontay McQueen, that is interested in coming to Northwestern. It is unfortunate he didn't turn out to be a gym, but his stats still look all right, so we're going to pursue him. And I also need to do one more thing. We have 25 coach points to spend, so we're going to make it to where it's a lot easier to get some of these receivers. We have to get to Always Be Cruton on lock, and that's going to give us a chance on 5-star gym Demetris Dicker. He has 98 speed, 96 jump, and he is 6'6". This is the best receiver I have ever found. But if we don't end up signing him, there's a couple other 4-star gems I'd like to get, and we just want to keep on improving this team. We've dropped back to a 2-star school prestige, which means we only have 450 hours to spend every week on recruiting. And I really think I can trust this team to win a game in sim against Utah State. I happen to be wrong about that though. They beat us 31-14 pretty convincingly. And unfortunately, we might be setting up for another bad year, but we're gonna hop into this one at number 12 Colorado. At some point, the good players that we have been recruiting have to develop, and we have to perform better on the field. But I'm afraid for that to happen, we're gonna have to get a new quarterback out there because we just got demolished. There was not one part of that game I want you all to see. It was just flat out embarrassment, but a couple weeks later, we have signed Deontay McQueen at quarterback. And that's coming off of a not very impressive win over FCS East, but at least we beat him this time around. Outside of him, there's a couple other battles I think we're gonna win, like this gym at tight end. Josh Fink probably gonna choose Notre Dame over us, but we're still in the lead for Demetrius Dicker and Larry Sizemore, who would be amazing at receiver. It's just pretty challenging recruiting with only 450 hours a week, and we are gonna hop into this one against Washington. I'm pretty sure after this game we have to play Oregon and Ohio State. We're not gonna win those, so it'd be nice to pick up a win here. And this has not been a typical game for our offense. We've been able to score quite a bit versus them. I did not mean to throw this, but it's still gonna work out. And results like this are bound to happen whenever you come out playing that well offensively, which is one of the first times we've done it. I just wish Aiden Gray could play like this all the time. And he will not be the one throwing to 4-star tight end Carlos Reite or Larry Sizemore, who both committed. But we've shown that we have a program that can get a lot of guys involved, and let's just get blown out by the Buckeyes. These two results don't really bother me because I knew we weren't going to do well against them. I think I want to hop into my third game at number 7 Rutgers, though. I feel like on paper they're going to be a team that we could beat. But before we can do that, we're going to have to face the Bruins. Again, this is a winnable matchup. And it's actually an important one because even if we didn't sign 5-star linebacker Josh Fink, we could get Demetrius Dicker still, and then another 5-star George Newsom. We are so close to beating out both Ohio State and Wisconsin for. We really just need to get a little bit better as a recruiter coach. As you can see, we have the 98 speed, 96 jumping, 6'6 receiver, although it looks like George Newsom had us at third. And even better, we're coming off of a 3-point win over UCLA. That gives me some hope against the Scarlet Knights, who are currently undefeated, sitting at number 3 in the country. And winning this game is so important because it would put us on pace to make a bowl. Having on-field success would make recruiting so much easier for us, but we need to get them off the field on this third down. And that has given us an opportunity in the final couple minutes to tie things up with a touchdown plus the 2-point conversion. If we mess up either part of that, though, we need to save our 3 timeouts for that. We're going to make this throw on the run for another 15. And can you imagine how much better our offense would be if we had a faster quarterback out there? Gray's not bad for his speed, but I prefer using guys that have like 90, and what a burst of acceleration. Now's probably a good time to note, though, I think the quarterback that we recruited only has like 75 speed. So that's why it's crucial we get good receivers that can get open quick. On the 2-point conversion, we don't get in. That's not the end of this game, though. We've been able to pull off comebacks against top-ranked teams before, except they just break off of our tackles due to the rain, and we might as well let him get into the end zone. Catching him with the former 5-star won't do a thing. What we basically need to do now is find a way to score a touchdown or get a field goal in like the next play or two. It's not happening, though. I forced it straight to him. And it's going to be so nice next year to have a freshman receiver that's tall and that can win jump balls. Those are the exact scenarios where you need that. We're about to play 1-7 Michigan State. I'm gonna probably just sim through the rest of the year since I can't hop into any more games. And in the process of doing that, it's always nice to see a committed screen pop up. What isn't nice is reviewing our season schedule and seeing that we finished with 5 straight losses. But what's important is whether or not we closed out some of these recruiting battles. We knew that we lost on Newsom already. We did end up getting most of these 4-stars. Even Desmond Ring is super close. It's not a big class, but I wanted to go for quality instead of quantity. And that's mainly just because I'm not sure if the 3-stars starting are going to be able to do as well without any tactician boosts. Normally a team of that can be good enough to win you a championship without the tactician boost as well, though. You're seeing Aiden Gray just throwing so many interceptions. And on the rushing side of things, Deshaun Reeder actually took a step back with his yards per carry. Not a fan of that at all. Paul Johnston as our sophomore receiver leading the team, but he probably won't be out there on the field for long, especially after some of the players that I've been recruiting come in and he gets capped out at about a 75. I'm not sure how many seasons it's going to take for us to even be in playoff contention, but schools like Purdue have been finding a way to thrive. And I really wish there was a way for us to convince some of these players to not transfer out. Every single time it says no persuasion chance, so we are going to lose our starting running back, unfortunately. We're also having a few players graduate, but it's okay. None of them were anything too special, and the transfer portal might continue to give as we have a 4-star tight end that we can go after. As much as I wanted to keep down the size of the class as well, I ended up adding a lot of 3-stars no one else was recruiting to our board just so they can slot into some of the depth pieces that we need. And I think what that'll do is allow us to continue focusing on putting a ton of hours into highly rated prospects. We ended up signing 23 in total, which is great. This has really balanced out our class. And we're actually going to be rated high because we signed a lot of players in this one compared to last year. We're at number 15. I'll also say Deontay McQueen's dev trait is very disappointing, just normal dev. We're going to have impact on the tight end, but Demetrius Dicker is even better now because he is elite development. We have star on both of these receivers. We have a middle linebacker with elite development. And if I really wanted to, I could probably put Demetrius Dicker at tight end as well. He'd be an 80 overall, but I think we got to put him at receiver unless putting him at tight end is the smart move. I mean, if you think about it, there would literally be nobody on the field that could ever guard him. And so after careful consideration, we're going to do it. We're going to put him as an 80 overall tight end. I also forgot to mention last season, Zach Coleman has elite development too. He's the 5-star that we were able to get then. So I was really hoping during training results that he took a big jump. He went up to an 86. Eric Maffey, the other 5-stars, at an 86 as well. But Callan Campbell is our highest overall, as a 91 overall rusher. Then at quarterback, they're going to want us to start Ryan Bowie. They're going to want us to start Brian Chosen, a freshman quarterback. Either one of these. I'm not sure we're going to roll with either though. And that's because we just recruited a 4-star quarterback. It'll really just depend who has the best skill caps, and Brian Chosen might actually be that guy. He is impact development, while Deontay McQueen only has normal development, and his accuracy is capped out so hard for a 4-star that we are never going to let him see the field. That decided it for me. We're going to start Brian Chosen, the freshman, and then we're just going to redshirt McQueen. He can be a 3rd stringer his entire time at Northwestern. Then I headed over to our schedule to take a look at it, and I'm a fan of it. We have Air Force as a non-conference game, an FCS school, and Louisiana Monroe. But the biggest question is going to be which players are we dumping a lot of points into this year. I think we can get up to 6 really talented guys. And for all I know, they could end up being 5-star prospects because I'm going to scout as many of those as I can as well. For this season specifically, I think I'm strictly going to target offensive linemen. There were a lot of 5-stars on the board that looked pretty solid, so we're going to spend all 20 of our coach points and max in this area out. And as you can see, there are 5 linemen, 4 of them being 5-stars that we're targeting. So we're trying to build an entire offensive line with this class. There's also a gym at quarterback, and then I'm very disappointed we got locked out from this 5-star gym at corner. It's okay though, because maybe Carl Obi is our future. His stats aren't anything too special, but we don't know what his dev trait's going to be. And as the season goes on, we should just make progress on those linemen. I think we can beat Louisiana Monroe and Sim. This is year number 4, so we're just going to skip over it, pray for the right result. And although the team is not where I want it to be, we were able to beat them by 14. I should also point out, just because I noticed it, Texas beat Purdue 65-7, so I think that's going to be the end of the Boilermakers getting overrated. And I think it'd be incredible if we could upset number 18 Wisconsin in our second game. I mean, maybe I need to reconsider which games I'm choosing to hop into, because we went on that losing streak at the end of the year against teams we should have beat. But I love seeing if we can pull off stuff like this, because it would really set the tone for the rest of the year. Going into the 4th quarter, we're going to be trailing by 7, but we'd eventually get the ball back, and I've been waiting for man-to-man coverage on Demetrius Dicker, because all we have to do is just pass it and hope he runs under the ball. If for whatever reason they're fast enough to keep up with him as well, he's 6'6". He can make that catch. And that leaves me with like no excuse on why this game is even close in the first place. The important thing is we take care of business here at the end though, when it matters, and if this pass is on target, he is like 10-15 yards in front of the next defender. I'm sure their coverage got mixed up there or something, but he is so good. I think putting him at tight end was the greatest decision I could have ever made. He'll never have anybody fast on him. And after getting that stop, for whatever reason, they punted it back to us, and we're just going to keep getting first downs. That was such a clean spin move as well. You cannot deny that. And since we're in field goal range, I would consider this game already over, but if we pick up the first down, we can take a knee to end it. Sure enough, man-to-man coverage, Demetrius Dicker will be open. And even though we can't go down the tactician tree, we are able to recruit some amazing prospects I'd never get before. I literally cannot wait to play this kid's career. He is going to be a major issue, though I'm not sure the same will happen in Sim. Either way, though, I was not expecting to make a signing this soon into the season. And maybe our tight end didn't go off in this game, but we had a sophomore receiver, Jared Ism, that did. Now, the following week, we'd have to face number 1 USC. I just decided to sim it since that's going to be a tough matchup, and I wanted to play games later in the year, so we're sitting at 3-1. But obviously, I'm expecting us to take down Air Force, which would put us at 4 wins. And there it is. We've gotten our first of the 5 offensive linemen that I wanted to commit. As good as it might seem like recruiting is going for us, though, I'm not sure we're going to be able to close out any of these battles. Auburn just stole this 5-star left guard for us after we were in the lead the entire time, and then we've been locked out from Carl Obi due to playing time as a deal breaker. That's lots of things not going well, but I think what really is causing the issue is we just lost to Air Force by 8. And it's not like the losing's going to end because we're about to play at 4-0 Michigan. My only solution to trying and saving our recruiting classes hopping in. But that has very quickly turned into a disaster. Freshman quarterbacks on the road don't do too well. I ended up finishing that drive off, but that was the only time that we scored in this game. And a big part of that was they were able to shut down our freshman tight end. It felt really dumb to hop into that one, but we did get a 5-star tackle to commit to Northwestern. And next up, we're facing Purdue, who's 2-3, and they've fallen off. Did that go too well? I'm not sure. This is all that I really want to see. And at the end of the day, we went 4 for 7 on the players that we targeted off the start. Auburn was able to steal a tackle from us, and then also Ohio State taking one. We still can't go after this quarterback, but I found another gym at quarterback, Wade Roy, that I want. So we could always sign him. He is magician, 86 speed. There's a 5-star defensive tackle we could still land, and then a couple other quarterbacks in a center that we're targeting. Outside of that, though, I'm not sure if we're going to go after anybody else. I'm really just hoping that we can find a way to finish this season strong and make it to a bowl. I'm going to save one of these final 3 matchups as one to hop into, but we need to beat either Nebraska or Maryland most likely. And that simply just didn't happen. They dropped 52 points on our heads, so we are not good enough yet. This is where having all the tactician stat boost would really help us start to perform. But time and time again, we prove that we can't do that, and I don't see us finishing out this year strong. If there's any chance that we're going to, though, we have got to make sure that we don't lose to the Hoosiers. And I'm starting to worry that without any tactician boost, we might get capped out at about 6-7 wins a year. Of course, these guys still need time to develop, but just the fact that we've only scored 9 points on the Hoosiers is mind-blowing. And this is a pretty big 4th and 18. We're going to try to go up the seam. They're going to intercept it. I have not had a good game offensively. We're going to lose to Indiana too. Because by the time we would get the ball back in this one, we are currently sitting down by 10 points and we can't hit a pass. Our only hope is Demetrius Dicker is able to get open, split those safeties, and actually make a play for us, which he has been able to do. I just don't want to only throw deep balls in his direction. I know we could win that way, but it might not be as fun. The rest of the roster is where we need to show signs of improvement, and they just had us off sides. I was trying to get more guys into the box, but it's going to hurt us. They were able to run out clock. And that was before they snapped their first down play, so we couldn't even use our 2 timeouts to get the ball back. Even bringing in 5-star prospects, it's going to be another rough end to the season. Unless we somehow turn things around against Washington. Spoiler alert, we didn't. We lost 31-7 to them, 27-7 against Illinois. And the first thing I always change up whenever I'm struggling with a rebuild is the playbook, so that's exactly what we're going to do. We use Clemson for the air raid, and then I personally like the 3-3-5 tight defense. I am willing to do anything to get us off of the bottom of the Big Ten for a season. And it seems like no matter who we have out there at quarterback, they just turn the ball over a lot, so maybe one of the quarterbacks that we've recruited is going to play better. Sophomore running back putting up the most rushing yards we've seen so far, and Brian Ring had over 1,000 receiving yards. But the real note is Demetrius Dicker as a freshman being our second receiver. Normally that never happens with tight ends, no matter how good they are. He has a lot of potential, and I didn't realize how many quarterbacks I went after, but it turns out it's a lot. We signed 3 5-stars this year, we had 6 4-stars, and 3 of those 4-stars are QBs, so we're gonna have to move these athletes to other positions. But my hope is at least one of them has star or elite development, and not a single one did. In fact, even on the 5-star recruits, I'd say the dev traits are a little bit disappointing. We did not get lucky with this class. And I feel like I'm just proving that tactician is by far the most valuable coach upgrade. I mean, we had a 92 overall right end. We still only got 3 wins this past year. He's projected to be a first-round pick. We're losing a receiver to the transfer portal. And in the future, we need to produce more guys like Callan Campbell. I don't think it's going to come from this transfer portal class, though. I'm not a fan of any of the guys that we can go after, besides maybe a couple of the freshman 3-stars. And all those guys would do is make this class a little bit deeper. I started going after some athletes at the very end that we could move around to a lot of positions. And I also brought in a couple special teams players that we can redshirt and develop for longer. I know that I've lost quite a few recruiting battles in this video, but I feel like the classes I've been pulling in are really solid. Better than what I would normally do in a rebuild. It's just the fact that we don't have tacticians, because this is our second straight top 15 class. It's also the first time we've been able to sign 3 5-stars, though they aren't at any cool positions like QB. And if we want the option to go after more highly rated prospects, we have to raise our championship contender. I should also point out that one of our transfers came in with elite development. It's a lineman, so it's not too fun. Damian Cameron will just sit in the background while we try to figure out what to do with all these exciting positions, and that leaves me to our quarterback dilemma. We have 3 of them to choose between, and since Darren Woodhead has impact development and he's already a quarterback originally, we're going to leave him there, and then I'm hoping that we can move these 2 athletes to other positions. George Kahari's not the fastest, but he could play receiver for us or even tight end. We already have too many of those. Maybe we'll go with receiving back. But the issue with that is also where we're going to be throwing Wade Roy, so I might move one of them to tight end and have them redshirt. It's also nice to see that after training results, they're saying our overall's an 89, but we don't have a single player above an 89 overall, so I can't believe that. I know that we're not. Our quarterback position is still struggling, and I'd love to improve it this season, offseason, but the guys that are interested in coming here are just 4 stars. So if we want to land some of these 5-star prospects, we might just have to go all in, though there's no quarterbacks that want to give us a chance. I might have found exactly what we're looking for anyway, though. Jay Singleton has 95 throw power, 89 speed. He is field general and magician. He's a gym, so I'm hoping that we can sign him. This is our backup option. And in an ideal world, he'll be throwing the ball to 5-star receiver with 99 speed, Earl Abraham. To make sure that we get Earl, though, what we're going to do is we're going to unlock magnetic personality for wide receivers and tight ends. We're going to spend our other 15 coach points being allowed to put more into linebackers. And this season, we have 500 points to spend a week, but we need to have a better year so we can put even more hours into guys than just this. That's when we're going to start signing the great recruiting classes, opening up the season against FCS Southeast. I'd like to think that we're past the point where we'd ever lose to a school like that again. We should also beat Rice and Sim before deciding to hop into maybe some of the later games. Those first ones look winnable. Our schedule's only going to get harder from here, which is why I'm hoping that we can skip over the first 4. But even in picking up another win, we have a few players that are at risk of transferring. That's exactly why I don't like to recruit players that care about the playing style deal breaker. It can be a huge headache. And just looking around at all the recruiting battles that we're in, we're the only ones going after Jay Singleton, so I took some hours off of him. We have 40 to spend, and that's going to allow us to put Dylan Barnes on a visit against Purdue. I think we could really use this boost. So let's just hope that headed into that game, we're sitting at 3-0. Well, there is the expected result, 27-10. Our roster simply just isn't good enough. It might say that it's an 89 overall, but like I said, that's not accurate. This is more like an 85. And if you take a look at the guys that they have, they're so much better, which is why I say you cannot base anything off of looking at team overall. What's crazy is we'd be a championship contender right now if we just had the tactician boost. It can boost you up to 6 overalls on everybody. But like my last girl, I've decided to make everything harder, and we're just gonna have to struggle for a bit. I also just realized in recruiting all these 5-star talents, there's a much higher chance that they'll declare for the NFL draft early. And that is going to be extremely frustrating if we lose somebody good. I want Demetrius Dicker to be here for all 4 seasons. He should get us the first touchdown. And we needed to open up this game this way. It put us on the right track to win this one. They've only been able to score 14 points, all coming in the 4th. And we were not going to allow them to come back at the end. I kind of wish we scored in the second half, but it's not the end of the world. There are still parts about our offense that need fixing. But that'll come as Brian Chosen develops, and this is why we had Dylan Barnes on a visit. That's going to free up 80 hours, so we can hopefully be able to sign a couple more really good players. I don't want to go after the 4-star. I want to make sure that we get another 5-star, so we're just going to put him on a random visit. I've never even checked, but I think just scheduling it gives you a little bit of boost in the battle, and we should be able to get him after this week. However, we're seeing Miles Hunt pop up as the first player that we've signed, so we did. But it's okay because we pulled so far away on both him and then 5-star receiver Earl Abraham. We also got a shocking surprise upset against Oregon. I was not thinking we'd win this one. But what that does is it puts us at 4-1 going into a game at Temple. I can't see the result yet, but I would like to think that that is a free win for us. Jay Singleton signs as a quarterback. We're getting everybody, even LaShawn Emery. He was a 5-star linebacker. And it took me forever to do it, but I have finally started a season signing all of my initial targets. This is perfect because now we have all these free hours to go after more prospects. Do you know what's not perfect though? Losing to Temple 24-17. And that makes me feel like I should hop into this one against Nebraska before we have our bye week. Our 2 games after this are extremely hard, and I don't want to go on a 4-game losing streak, so we need to win this. But here's the thing. We haven't played the best in this matchup, except they were pressing Demetrius Dicker, so we're going to run in for the game-leading touchdown. I'm not quite sure what they were thinking there. Without getting the 2-point conversion, we're only going to be up by 1 point, though, and that's why we needed to get this user interception. That sets us up so well to just move it and get another touchdown, hopefully. We're going to be at the 30. And anytime that we get them spread out like this, we should know that they're going to send a blitz and we'll have a wide open receiver. That is not going to put the Cornhuskers away, though. They've gotten down to our 2. And I just refuse to believe that they're going to go back to the run because we can stop it. The real question will be, though, can we get them off of the field here? I set a quarterback spot because I knew they'd run. And if we can get out of this danger zone, we would be okay. That was an awful play call, but it's all right. They're on a 4th down. We're going to be able to lurk them for another user pick. And this time, what we can't do is take a safety, which we're not. I'm also pretty positive that if we had them spread out, we would have had a touchdown, but unfortunately, I couldn't get the play call out. They're still giving us that same look, though. Demetrius Dicker over on that side of the field. I don't know if it's because of tight end, they just play him so much closer, but this is the easiest I have ever had it on this game on Heisman. The strategy really is put a 98 speed dude at tight end. He'll be unstoppable. It's just so hard to not throw that on every single possession. I'll do it though whenever we need to win. That is how we got these 3 catches for 3 tutties. And I cannot believe I'm saying this right now, but we are sitting at the very top of the Big Ten standings. Maybe Tactician is a little bit overhyped. I've literally never done a rebuild without using them. And there is no way that we just pulled off another win. Sure enough, Matt Flavors, our freshman receiver, had a great game. And I can still hop into one more this year. Michigan has been struggling as of recently, but I feel like that's still going to be the hardest opponent besides Penn State that we're going to face. It's really hard to pick which of these I want to play because I want to stay in the running for a Big Ten championship. But since the Wolverines already have 3 conference losses, I don't think they're going to be the team that gets us out of it. I had to factor in that playing Penn State would be more beneficial for us. And I almost don't want to mess up what this team is doing in sim because we won again. I'm not sure how much longer that we can keep this up for, but I'm going to keep it running. The more we won in sim, the better I was feeling, but apparently I couldn't trust it too much, and now we have to finish out the year with 2 losses against top 25 teams. Since I can play one of the 2, I'm going to choose Penn State, but I think we're out of the Big Ten championship. And you know what? I don't really care because I'm still focused on recruiting more than anything else. We're supposed to get this 5-star receiver, and then all of these other 4-stars were lining up to land. There's lots of receivers there. We had to replenish our depth at that position, and now we need to win on the road. If we could just come out on top of these final 2 matchups, though, we would find our way into the playoffs. And that is really crazy to think about after all the recent bad seasons we've had. We shouldn't have even caught that ball, but Demetrius Dicker is just that good. And we've set ourselves up for the opening touchdown. In order to win this one, though, we would need more than that, and there's been a big problem in this game. It's been the lack of having our star tight end. Demetrius Dicker has been out for the entire matchup, and that has been a huge problem for us. We're trying to come back in the final minute now. We have all 3 of our timeouts. But to get the ball back, we had to give up another touchdown, and I cannot believe how open Johnson is. All I'm saying is if he wasn't out for the rest of this matchup with a concussion, we would have no issues scoring. Okay, maybe a little bit of issues because my reads still stink, but that is going to be the reason that we fall to Penn State. It's frustrating, but we could redeem ourselves with a win over Illinois to end the year. And that's exactly what we did, as we have stumbled into the Big Ten championship. I just assumed it wasn't even possible for us to make it after we lost to Minnesota and Penn State. But apparently going 6-3 in conference play is enough to get you the lone 2nd place spot in the Big Ten. I don't think I've ever seen a conference work out like that before, but it's enough to convince another 5-star that they want to be a part of this team. And I know most of the guys on our board are receivers, but we've been able to sign 15 total prospects so far with a couple extra quarterbacks I'm going after just for depth. It's going to be our best recruiting class by far. I think it might even finish inside the top 5. And then next year, I'd like to think that we could easily pass that up because especially if we win this conference championship, we're going to have so many more hours to pour into players. And we already beat the Ducks in sim this year, so we just have to do it ourselves now. So far, we scored 21 in the first half. But what has really made all of the difference is here in the 3rd quarter, we've started to run away with it even more as we're driving down again. We've already made it 28-14. We're looking to pick up this 3rd and 2 and make it 35-14. And our junior running back with his 95 speed is going to get a handoff to the outside, but he can't go there. The Ducks have a good defense, which is why it's a surprise we're even in this position in the first place. But at the end of the day, that defense just didn't show up for this game. Brian Chosen proved that he could actually be the future for us. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but he got us a Big Ten championship. The real question, though, is that going to be enough to get us into the college football playoff? I didn't even consider it, but we could actually be in there. We got the best tight end award with Demetrius Dicker, and it looks like we're in the Alamo Bowl against Kansas State. We ended up climbing to number 19 in the polls, but that was not going to be enough to be the 5th highest rated conference champion because Fresno State won theirs. So this is one of the rare times where there's not a single team from the Big Ten in the playoff. I just can't believe how even the entire conference was. There are so many bowl eligible teams. Only 5 of them weren't bowl eligible of the 18. And whenever it comes to raising our team prestige, I'm not sure winning this does anything. We already won the Big Ten. That was the important game for us to care about. But if we're going to be in a tight matchup in the final few minutes, we might as well try and come out on top. They would hold us on that play though, so we need to be able to stop them on 3rd and 5. We can. And I think that's pretty much locked up the fact that we're going to lose. We should have played better against Kansas State, but we already played in our Super Bowl, except they're going to throw us an interception. I don't know what they were thinking right there. They had somebody open in the end zone, and all they needed to do was run the ball. Now we're in a position where we're just going to throw it up to our 6'6" receiver and let him try to bring it in. That at least seemed like a viable option. What we're really waiting on is some man-to-man coverage that we can just take advantage of. There's no way that we just made that throw on the run. It's not even Brian Chosen that's out there. Ever since he dislocated his shoulder, we've been struggling in this. That was backup quarterback Robert Briscoe, and that was such a great pass. He is never going to get his fair shot at starting for us, though, because we already have so many options options at that position. Of course, this is going to be a flag. And I think we were simply just trying to do too much there. We're going to try to throw it to our receiver and then click on and make a play. That's going to look like a really bad read. I've actually had a lot of those in this video, but when I do it successfully later on, you're going to see that that was not a bad option. Either way, I'm happy with how this season went. We were like one loss away from being in the playoff. And I think we win that game against Kansas State if Brian Chosen was able to stay healthy. I also think we would have won that game against Penn State if we had Demetrius Dicker. We are going to have to say goodbye to our leading receiver though, Alexander O'Neal. I'm pretty sure this is one of the first recruits that we ever signed. He progressed pretty well for no tactician boosts. And it's always nice to see guys that can go over 1,000 receiving yards, but we are also saying goodbye to Eric Maffey, the first 5-star I ever got. What's crazy is nobody from that first class got drafted. And the transfer portal is going to give us a couple other options that could really help out this roster. We don't really need these guys because next season I know that we're just going to put together an even better class. And that's because our team grades are so much better all around. We'll have a lot more hours to spend and a lot more things that we can hard sell on. And I'm not used to signing top classes in any of these rebuilds while having success, but this time we will. Due to the size of this last class and us not signing more guys, we're going to finish in second place right behind USC, but they deserve to finish in first. And it's still mind-blowing to me that we were able to bring in 5-5-star players. Not everybody that I wanted is going to have elite development, but we did end up finding 4 different players that do have elite development, including the top receiver, Earl Abraham, with his 99 speed shifty takeoff. And I can only imagine how broken he's going to end up becoming. We could also put Trueblood at quarterback, but we also could move him over to corner or safety. This is what I like to see out of some 4-stars, flexibility. That's the entire purpose of getting these athletes in the first place. I can recruit at the skill positions, but I want to be able to have guys at other positions as well. I'm also just moving some guys around, like free safety Raheem Linder. He's a 5-star we signed. He has 95 speed, so I think he'd be better off at corner. And one thing that I did was I think I picked up a few too many receivers, so we're going to take some of the slower ones, 90 speed being slow for this team, and move them to positions like tight end. I'm proud to say that this is what our team is going to be looking like headed into next season. We have a couple sophomore receivers that are getting a little bit higher up there in overall. The quarterback position still lacking a little bit, but it's not like Brian Chosen isn't improving. He's actually focused in quite a bit on his accuracy, getting it higher than I thought he would by this point. We also seem to have hit the cap with Demetrius Dicker for about every single thing, route running, hands, all of that besides blocking. He just doesn't want to improve on that as a tight end. He doesn't necessarily need it, and we have roster cuts to make because we're over the roster size. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of positions that I know I have over-recruited at, so we're just going to get rid of a lot of those guys that aren't ever going to start for us. And this feels so wild to be doing, but if our 99 speed freshman receiver is going to be the 5th receiver on the team, I feel like we should redshirt him so we could have him for an extra year potentially. Basically, every freshman that we brought in got redshirted, so we're really looking at the future right now. There's a couple 5-stars, including a quarterback that would consider our school right off of the rip. And I think either way, we can sign about anybody that we want, but we're going to spend a couple more coach points getting magnetic personality unlocked. Now, what I discovered was there was 4 defensive tackles that were all gyms in this class as 5-stars. We're going to go after 2 of them while also going after a gym at right end and then another right end that we could move to left end. Our defensive line could be incredible. Built off of only 5-star prospects. That's the goal at least, though I will say Steve Rieger was a bit disappointing besides having Platinum Field General. With 700 hours to spend, we're going to be able to go after 9 prospects at once. If we sign all 9 of these 5-stars, next year's class would be insane. But I'm sure at least one of them won't go our way, and by the time we're playing our first game, it's against App State. Before we could even see the result of that, we have already gotten our first commit. We're like 2-3 weeks into the year. Then we went out and beat an FCS school, but I am surprised to see Appalachian State drop 35 on our heads. We're going to have to score a lot of points this season to keep the winning up. And I should feel comfortable simming against New Mexico. They're like a 75 overall team. We have a couple players on visits. However, I think we just lost some recruiting battles because it says we're number 25 in the country. We're 2-1. How did we lose to them? I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get the sim system in this game. We lost in overtime at home. And all I can say is this team is going to have a lot to think about during our bye week, though we are still in first place for all these battles, so maybe we'll close them out. It is still so embarrassing that we lost to New Mexico, though. Look at all of these 5-stars we're going to get. There's just one pretty big issue in my opinion. We didn't get one of the defensive tackles that are a gym. He chose Notre Dame over us, so we're going to have to land the other gym. It all would have gone well if we just beat New New Mexico. That is what ruined our streak of not losing recruiting battles, but it's okay. Hopefully we can take down Ohio State. I'm playing this one mainly because the hardest games in our schedule are in like the next 4 to 5 weeks. And I'd rather rely on Sim for the weaker opponents, even if it doesn't always go the way it should. I don't love how we're doing in this game either. We're probably not going to run back a Big Ten championship. But it's not over. There's still 6 minutes left, and we're just going to wait to get it within 7. If we can take down a team like the Buckeyes, that gives me very high hopes if we ever do make it to the playoffs. But they're going to get a huge broken play going for a touchdown. Don't worry, I responded back pretty quick. We have a fast receiver that makes that super easy for us, but they're going to catch this 3rd down. And that catch just put them in field goal range. This one's over. We would need to get extremely lucky, make them lose a lot of yards, which, hang on, we just did. I'm not sure they can hit a field goal from here, but they're about to pick 5 back up. This is the moment of truth. We have Stadium Pulse on our side. The Buckeyes are just going to get it to sneak in. And that is so unfortunate. We're not going to score 10 points in the final 30 seconds. It is what it is, though. They got off to a better start than we did. That is why I always like to open up the game with a touchdown. And what I can do is at least appreciate the fact that we're competitive with teams like that. We cannot afford to let our championship contender grade drop any farther, though. It could cause recruits to flip their commitment. And that is exactly why we are headed to the Big House to take on the Wolverines. There was something that I was not expecting, though, and that was giving up 45 points to the Wolverines. We just can't stop their offense. I genuinely have no idea what to do. We're going to send in a blitz of 7 people, and we finally get to them. But we still have to be able to tie this game up with a touchdown, and I'm not sure if our tight end can outrun everybody here, but he did, and then he dropped it. That was such a beautiful deep ball that I almost want to see if we can just do it again, but I saw on the left side that we were able to outrun him. And Larry Sizemore laid out for the catch, but he didn't go all the way for a touchdown. It's okay, though. If we're going to tie this game up, I want to be able to take off as much clock as I can. And that is why it is under 13 seconds before we snap it. I might have gone a little bit too far. It is what it is, though. We'll just go with the fullback dive, get our touchdown. And the real question is, do we go for the 2-point conversion? I was just calling a play to see what they came out in defensively, but I feel pretty confident that if they're going to have this few people up front, we could just end the game with an easy 2-pointer. And I'm really not sure what Michigan was thinking there, but I thank them for allowing us to bounce back. I would assume that Northwestern is not normally on the winning side of this rival, only 18 series wins. I'm pretty sure it said Michigan had like 60 wins whenever they beat us in the past, but on another note, we got a Kentucky 5-star recruit. That's not something that's normally common, but if we count up all the recruits that we have signed so far, we have 8 5-stars, and we could go ahead and get it up to 12 total if we can just stay in first place for these 4. It's a really good spot to be in with recruiting. We're about to play at 1-4 Iowa. We should win this. And we did, but only by 3 points, which is concerning. That's going to get us up to number 16 in the polls, though. If we look at our conference standings, we're tied for 2nd place. And if we have any chance at making it back to the Big Ten championship, we've got to beat Wisconsin. After this, I don't want to jinx it by saying our schedule gets easy, but our opponents are a lot less tough than what the Badgers have been in this game for us. We just can't move the ball. I'm really hoping on 4th and 14, we can get a good man-to-man beaten look. That's what we have done with Ring over there on that right side. But what I've had to learn is that is not something that we can consistently rely on, and what a throw. With a dude in Brian Chosen's face, he stared him directly in the eyes and put it right where he wanted it. And then he did it again to get us that touchdown. We have no run defense out there, so I was really hoping that they passed it. We're going to stop them on 3rd and 13, assuming we hold on. And once again, I have been gifted an opportunity to clutch up at the very end, but we're getting chased down and we got to throw it away. Brian Chosen definitely is speed, but he's also not the fastest in the world, so I can't just do anything with him. I don't think we're going to get this first. And I feel like I haven't been urgent enough on this drive. We just need our drag to eventually get open, and we're going to come down with the catch with Ring. I threw that ball way too late. We should not still be in this. Wisconsin should have been able to pick up the win right there, and they're sticking with our 6'6" receiver pretty well. But he can come back to the ball. We're not going for a field goal at this point. We want a touchdown. We still have all 3 of our timeouts left, and I know that we had them beat D. I just got scared to actually put it there, and they're screaming. Well, all of a sudden, there's just 20 seconds left. Getting in a field goal range would be very nice, but Demetrius Dicker is going to beat the defense deep. He sheds a tackle and celebrates on his way in. There is no better player to play with on this game than Demetrius Dicker. He's literally given it to them. And after being in the position we were in, we shouldn't have survived against Wisconsin. What made that win even better was it was during a visit week, so we signed 2 more 5-stars. We are looking to have the best class in the country. But I cannot hop into a single game the rest of the year. I have to sim the rest of them. This is where we really test how good the roster I've built is so far, and we're starting it off with a loss at Washington, though these are all winnable matchups to finish the year. And since we made the Big Ten championship with 3 conference losses last season, I can't count us out from anything. We could still come out on top of these Final 4 and become a playoff team. And if these receivers start to develop, we're going to become wide receiver U. It's also really nice to play some weaker opponents opponents because we just demolished Maryland, and then we beat Indiana, though we struggled far more than we should have. With 2 games left in the season, that puts us at 3rd place in the Big Ten. The conference championship's still open if Nebraska or Ohio State loses. And even if we don't get in, a playoff spot is on the line because we're 16th in the country. I really like that this is the time of the year where we get those weaker opponents. And it was a nail-biter because Purdue had 150 more total yards of offense against us, but we are just 1 game away from the playoff now. If 4-7 Illinois ends our season, ends our hope at the playoffs, I'm going to be devastated. We probably aren't making the conference championship, so this is our only way in. And sure enough, we might have lost to New Mexico at one point, but we were able to handle business there. We've also continued to rack in some 4-star prospects. And I guess we didn't have the tiebreaker over Nebraska or Ohio State to get into the Big Ten championship. Then one of the weirdest Heisman Trophy winners ever has popped up. You should not win it with this stat line. I'm pretty sure we had a receiver do better than that, and we got Texas in the 1st round. Anyway, Matt Flavors had the exact Heisman stat line with a few more touchdowns. I can't believe he didn't win it all, I guess. And take a look at what Brian Chosen is finally doing. He's cut back on the interceptions, 31 touchdowns, rushing game still not really there. He runs the ball a bit. But it makes sense because we're in an air raid offense, and all 21 of these players wanted to be a part of it, including 12 5-stars. We didn't quite sign half of the 5-stars available in the country, but we got pretty close. And looking at our spot in the playoff bracket, if we get by the Longhorns, who are 8-4 as the 10 seed, I feel confident against Arizona State. I know they're the only undefeated team in the country, but they're not the overall 1 seed for a reason. And on paper, without tactician boost, I don't like playing the Longhorns. It says that we're both 90 overall teams, but just compare our top 10-15 players to theirs. You don't even have to take a close look to see that they clearly have an edge on us. But they're not unbeatable. We have to trust ourselves. We're playing at home. There's a reason that they have lost 4 games this season, and that's because they are very beatable. We're about to go up by 10. So we just need to maintain this lead in the 4th quarter. That has not been too challenging to do. I'd say their greatest weakness has been how consistent they've been offensively. We've been able to be really aggressive like that and only give up a few touchdown plays. And the best part is if we pick up this 3rd and 2, there's going to be like nothing that they can do. We had a good block out there, and that's all we needed. They've already used all their timeouts. We get this 4th and 7. We'll just take a knee, which we do. And that's how you survive the 1st round. We know that we have Arizona State coming up in the next one. And even if we don't win it all, this is good experience for this team. We're definitely taking a lot of positive steps forward. Compared to what happened in those first 4 seasons, these past 2 have been a huge step up. And I'm really hoping that we can continue to capitalize on that against the Sun Devils. Their roster is definitely more similar to ours than Texas, but they don't have a Demetrius Dicker. And do you know what that does to a team against our defense? It shuts them down. We also don't just have a tight end that we can throw to. We have multiple good receivers. And I can't stress enough how consistently solid Larry Sizemore has been for us. I also love our 95 speed running back. And we aren't even having a good offensive game. We only have 14 points at the moment, where this is going to make it 3rd and 4. If they run man-to-man coverage, though, they're going to be in a lot of trouble. Either way, we're throwing to Demetrius Dicker. And I think you all can see where this is going. If you look at our stats, they've barely moved the ball. We've had time of possession for twice as long. They have 13 rushing yards. And that's why I'm so confident. We have played suffocating defense against them this entire game, maintaining our lead, forcing turnovers like this one right here that is going to seal it. And holding them to just 13 points after they didn't lose to a single team the entire year feels incredible. Going back to the bracket, though, we are now in the semifinals against Florida, who just beat Washington State. Nebraska and Miami are on the other side. And we have 20 coach points that we could spend. This is where I'd want to put them in the tactician tree, but we're staying in the recruiter one only. Our coordinators have also been that way. I can't help that they extended a little bit in the motivator, but what they have in here isn't making a huge difference at all. Our entire coaching staff has basically just been focused on recruiting this entire video. I wanted to see if you could win a championship without tactician. And even though going into the year I never saw us being in this spot, this could be the team that does it. We're going to have to take over in the 3rd and 4th quarter, though, after barely scoring. And we'll see if they give us a man-to-man coverage look here. They did. Demetrius Dicker is going to create separation. Then we forced an interception, so within a couple of plays, we're going to be taking a lead. And that's after trailing by 10 for most of this. Whenever you have a team that's as explosive as ours, though, that is definitely something that can happen. I don't think we're going to be able to get over there. And that's how they'd be able to score a touchdown to go back out on front, but we might be able to bomb them deep And that has to be caught. Brian Chosen is so much better at throwing the ball than he was ever supposed to be. He seems to be able to put it on whatever spot on the field that he wants, and I don't know what happened with their coverage there, but they didn't expect Flavors to be on a streak. For a game that was once a low-scoring battle too, this one has really opened up. And I'm not sure what to expect on 3rd and 2, but they're going to try to scramble, and they get it. Now that they have us on a 3rd and 17 as well, I am not feeling as confident. We'll see if our offensive line can hold up because I had a plan. But that was not the spot to try try and take a shot like that, they're going to go to their flat and it's going to be a 3rd and 10. As long as they don't get into the end zone, we will be just fine, though their quarterback was ready to run. I should have known. Except he was a yard short, so it is all good. I also think it's hilarious. Their mascot has zero awareness that he is just celebrating into the banner. The attention to detail from EA sometimes is just so impressive. And I better stop being sarcastic because I need them to bail me out. It's 4th and 13. That does it. We just lost this game. Unless they score a touchdown on this play, please don't tackle them. And that just hurt our chances even more, but I have a vision. I have a vision. Normally, this doesn't end up going too well for us, but there's a quarterback spy out there. I should have had that a long time ago. And here's what I'm thinking. If our offensive line can simply hold up, we would have Demetrius Dickers deep, or we would have another receiver. I really don't understand their commitment to trying to go for a cover 1 look, but instead it was cover 3. I wasn't prepared for it. Their defensive line has been incredible in this game, and we're just gonna have to throw this one and come back to it, which we did. Okay, there's once again a little bit of hope. I hate that they were able to press us like that right there. It's a terrible throw. I don't know what I thought I was gonna do here at the end. I can't just get this team a championship without them being better than they are right now. And I can't feel too bad about it because they ended up winning the entire thing. We took steps forward in the right direction as well, but both of our star receivers want to go ahead and just declare early for the NFL draft, so we're going to have to convince both of them to come back. And then we're still losing our 88 overall running back. We have a couple players that are going to get drafted, plus these guys to graduation. I love to see that halfback DeAndre Abreu did get his shot at the NFL. It's going to be interesting to see how many players get drafted 4 years from now. We're producing quite a bit of talent here, and we could go after a couple more 4-stars just to make this class even better. We ended up signing all 3 of them, so that's going to get us up to 24 total players. And let me tell you something, when it comes to dev traits here, Steve Rieger, he had star dev, but every single player above him had elite development. We had 7 players with elite dev. That's the type of stuff I'm looking for whenever we are a recruiter. We had the #1 class, obviously, 12 5-stars, 12 4-stars. Nobody was even close in points. And since I want to use Earl Abraham with his 99 speed in the slot next year, we have an interesting issue with Brian Ring. He could be playing receiver for us as well, or we could move him to running back where he's a 99 overall. Even though he is going to be a receiving back, that felt like the better move. He's still going to be elite for us. His elusiveness isn't the best in the world, but it can improve in the offseason. And we have unlocked something else. Elite Recruiter. Go to coachability screen. Oh, this gives us more stuff to purchase. I am so slow sometimes. So we have 20 coach points to spend. We could hold to upgrade for 15 coach points and get down to some of these things. I've never touched this tree before. It looks like you could gain additional interest for every 10 hours spent, which would be really nice. You could also have school grades having larger impacts, pipeline bonuses, boost to ideal pitches. But it's the same issue with all the other coach tree stuff in this game. It just costs way too many coach points and takes too long to unlock some of this stuff. I think the replayability in Dynasty between the coach trees, whenever you have random player progression, you have skill caps, all that stuff makes it so much more enjoyable to play a bunch of rebuilds versus 14. But I will say there are parts of the skill tree where I wish they did a little bit better. We have a 92 overall team without any tactician boost. This is insane. I didn't even think something like this was possible, especially since Brian Chosen is just an 83. But he was a 3-star prospect that is shining with a bunch of 4 and 5 stars surrounding him, and I wish his accuracy got better. That would have been nice to have, but this is the best receiving core I think I have ever had in one of these rebuilds. Earl Abraham is our #4. And Larry Sizemore has also been able to get up to 99 speed. He is 99 deep route running, 99 release. It is no wonder that he's always beating guys down the sideline. I knew I'd done a good job with recruiting, but I didn't think I did that good of a job. We have 10 players that we're going to have to cut. And I think if I'm thinking towards the future, especially expecting us to sign like 15 5-stars next year, anybody that was a 3-star is gone. I think I accidentally got rid of some former 4-stars as well. There's a reason this team is projected to be the #2 one in the country. And this entire rebuild's really opened my eyes that going down the recruiter tree might actually be more beneficial than going down this tactician pathway, which I have stuck with for like 50 rebuilds on College Football 25. It'd be interesting to see if the motivator pathway is as beneficial as recruiter and tactician can be as well, because there's all these different ways that you can develop your coach. I just hadn't focused mainly on recruiting in any rebuilds unless I was at a school that was already really good at it, where it was easy. It's felt good to earn ourselves up to this spot just by working and playing better. I think this is going to be the year that we win a championship. If not, though, I'm going to find some more 5-stars to get. But I guess we really don't need that many because our last 2 classes consist of almost 60 guys. You know what? I'm going to run a test. I'm going to see how good the computer can do with auto recruiting turned on. I never have used it before, but we have literally set them up with the perfect recruiting situation. I'm curious how the computer would handle it, and we're even going to make sure that we can put extra hours into running backs as well in case they want to target that position. That just means that my sole focus is going to go into making sure we do well on the field. I think I'm going to play the game against Nebraska, potentially Oregon, and then Michigan or Penn State. Funny enough though, this has popped up as I'm advancing into week 0. The computer has already signed a 4-star quarterback. That's better than anything I could do. And let's take a look at the board that they've put together. They're going after a couple 5-star recruits, a lot of 4-star prospects. This class could turn out to be really good. I don't know why they're so against spending all the hours just fully scouting players though. Everybody got scouted like 60%. And this is just me getting in the mind of the computer to see why I'm able to beat them out for recruiting battles. They had 800 hours to spend a week. They only have like 500 on guys, and most of them are just 30 at a time. No wonder it was so easy to beat out some of those schools, with Northwestern having awful school grades whenever we were putting 80 hours a week into them. And trust me, I made sure New Mexico was not on the schedule this year so we could open up the season with 3 straight wins before getting into Big Ten play. Here's where it's going to be interesting to see how we do though. We're about to sim against UCLA, and I can vividly remember losing a game to them that we probably shouldn't have, but that didn't happen here. We had almost 600 total yards of offense, 54 points. Brian Chosen's going to have to be in the Heisman race if he can keep this up. As an 83 overall, I find that extremely impressive, but he has great targets like Earl Abraham to throw to. And I do wish that the game got tight ends more involved during sim with their receiving stats, but they never do. We did end up simming against Oregon as well, just because at the time we had Nebraska, Michigan, and Penn State all inside the top 16, so I wanted to play those 3. At least we beat them by 21. And part of me is starting to think that I could sim every game with this team and win. I almost want to test this. It's a little risky of a thing to do since we have not been able to win a championship with them yet. We still have to be able to make it into the playoff, but this is our roster compared to Nebraska's. And it actually is way better than theirs even without any tactician boost. They're in 86 while we're in 94. Sure enough, we beat them 63-28 in sim. I think our offense is literally unstoppable. It's the best one I've ever been able to build, and we don't have a great QB. Imagine how much points we'd be putting up if we had somebody a little bit better. It goes all back to the year where I focused on getting a full offensive line for him. And unless we drop 2 regular season games, I think we're going to be able to sim the entire regular season. I have never felt this confident before in a rebuild, but I know our team overall is legit. It's not just based off of tactician stat boosts. And later in the season, the computer seems to put more hours into some of the players that they want. This would explain why they'd win some of those battles, but I just have to give a little bit of credit to them. They have signed a ton of 4-stars. I will say though, I have been a little bit let down by how the team has performed recently. We lost by 3 to USC on the road. We lost by 6 on the road to Penn State. So this team is not unbeatable. Maybe it would be if we had the tactician boost. I just got so worked up in seeing a 94 overall with nothing helping. And now because of my stubbornness, we have to play this final game of the year so Illinois doesn't spoil the season. Even though we are not going to lose to the Fighting Illini, you simply cannot take any chances. And so we're just going to go out, try and score on this first drive where that throw was great. At first, they didn't give us credit for the touchdown either, but then they reviewed it and said it was good. And I think you can imagine how the rest of this game went. We have like 3 or 4 guys that can outrun them deep. Like, I genuinely think I could have won this game blindfolded. And so just to keep things interesting in the playoffs, I'll probably sim most of it. I don't want to blow every team out by 30. I want to overcome comebacks. I want to try and actually win the championship in a hard way. And it's not like we've given ourselves the easiest path because we finished 4th in the Big Ten. With the letdown of having those 2 losses, Brian Chosen is not going to win the Heisman. And I know for a fact that if we were sitting at number 1, he probably would have, because he had almost 4,000 passing yards, 41 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Even Brian Ring rushed for more yards than we've seen before with 16 rushing touchdowns. It paid off having a 99 overall at running back. Matt Flavors finishes as the number 1 receiver, and then Demetrius Dicker had almost 700 yards. This is good for a tight end in sim. So we might be able to win the best tight end award for the 2nd time. It looks like the Heisman goes to Ohio State's quarterback, and then we are going to play Wisconsin. No awards for us though. We must have finished too low in the rankings, and we have to play Ohio State if we take down the Badgers. So it turns out to just be a brutal draw for us, but we're averaging 42 points per game. How could we mess this up? We even have an insurance policy if we somehow did, because we currently have a top 10 class that'd be coming in. And all those incredible players that I've recruited recently over the past 2 seasons probably aren't even out there on the field. So even if we do win it all, I almost want to sim a few more years into the future to see how they do. By the 4th quarter in this game, I was hoping there'd be something interesting to play, but this is my first play that we're scoring on. It's that easy. And we already had a 10-point lead on the Badgers. It went exactly how I would expect it to though. I'm hoping that Ohio State isn't tough, because if anybody's going to be, it will be them. And even though we didn't have them on our regular season schedule, we couldn't avoid facing them. I just looked back at it and nobody that was on it finished inside the top 25. So we kind of had a cupcake schedule while going 10-2, which isn't that impressive. Our overalls also dropped down a few points out of nowhere for no reason. I told you, the calculations are so weak. I really wish I could get somebody at EA to even explain to me why they calculate calculate it the way that they do, but I'm not sure they know how it works. You know what does work though? Having a good roster. I'm not going to touch a thing, and we are still holding the Buckeyes to 0 points until now. And by the time there's 3 minutes left, we're up by 12. I want to see if we can get a highlight touchdown or something. Give me an aggressive catch. That was a little bit of a letdown, but I think you can see how good this team really is. They might be better off without me playing. I'm fumbling it away on the 1 yard line to them. But maybe that was my plan all along, to get a safety against the Buckeyes. Well, it's safe to say that that did not happen, but they have thrown it straight to us on a 4th and 7. We were able to lock up. I'm literally just messing around in playoff games. That is how confident I am in this team and their ability to win it all, even though it's not the best that it's going to get. The class that I signed last season is the one that should do some real damage. And take a look at this playoff picture. We're going to get either Tulane or Kansas State in the championship once we get past Clemson. I mean, it feels like EA is throwing some of the hardest opponents that they could in the country at us. But there has not been one moment where I've been concerned that we're going to lose yet. And I will say, going into the 4th quarter, it was 27-3, but Clemson was able to score a touchdown, and then they almost got that catch on 4th and 18. So they have been able to make it look a little bit prettier, but I saw the man-to-man coverage over there and go for an aggressive catch. You know, for how good Dicker was as a freshman, I feel like he never really improved that much past it. We're going to score again. Just because I have done like nothing in the playoffs so far, and look at how badly we just beat their corners press. These are some of the other best players in the country on these teams. And they can't hold Larry Sizemore, but why should they be able to? He has 99 speed, 99 release, 99 deep route running. And I almost feel like recruiting the best prospects in the country makes rebuilds way too easy for me. Whenever you sign those top receivers in the country, it doesn't matter what the difficulty is. They're not being stopped. And take a look at that. Tulane has stayed undefeated all year, just to face a team that is most likely going to obliterate them. If they're able to keep this game within 21 points, I'd be pretty surprised. And do you know why? Because if I were to just step in for one moment, throw up one deep ball, nobody is going to be able to catch us. However, as unfortunate as it is, I can't get the computer to play like that, so we've only scored 17. That is right. As we go into this final minute, Tulane is not out of this game yet. They're going to be on 4th down. And I am going to trust our cornerbacks to press them very well and get some pressure. There we go. Didn't take much effort, but we have been able to win a national championship with Northwestern. This isn't even the best class that we put together. There's 3 stars out there. And now what I would like to do is just track what would happen over the next few years. We could convince one of our corners to come back. It was guaranteed. We might as well help out the next roster. But we are going to be saying goodbye to Brian Chosen, who was able to win a championship and lead this team to victories in '83. And I'm really just impressed by the fact that we were able to produce 4 first-round picks. The computer sign class ended up finishing at number 17. I ended up unsigning some of the 3 stars and taking away their ability to recruit once I saw they were targeting them. Here at Northwestern, we only signed 4 stars or higher now. I did end up moving a wide receiver to halfback again just to see if that would help. It's going to be a 92 overall team. And at quarterback, we have sophomore Cordavius Fane getting out there. We could always start the former 5-star Steve Rieger as well, though. He had star dev, platinum field general, some incredible skill caps. And so that's who I've trusted in this first season we're going through. I even put New Mexico on our schedule again just to see what would happen, and it must not be a fluke because they've beaten us twice now. We went 9-3, but we're sitting at number 3 in the country. And once again, we've missed out on the Big Ten championship. We got Wyoming as our first playoff matchup though, so we took them down. Then we beat TCU until Texas knocked us out and won the entire thing. It's the second time in this video we've been knocked out by the eventual champion in the semifinals. Steve Rieger for a freshman was actually incredible. It looks like Dwayne Kamara was solid, and then we had 2,000-yard receivers, Matt Flavors of course. And then my favorite of course, Earl Abraham, who was a former 5-star with elite development. I could see him declaring for the NFL early. It turns out that's not going to happen though. We are going to see Teddy Donnerson going on. No chance to convince him to come back. Lots of really good seniors graduating. And this team might have put more players onto the NFL, but it didn't have as many first-round picks. I'm starting to think that the only championship Northwestern's going to see is the one that I led them to, but this one says that they have a 95 overall team. It is the deepest one it's ever been. And it's the preseason number 1 team, but it's going to be led by Cordavius Fane instead of Steve Rieger because he's an 86. Just for good measure, of course, we're going to have to throw New Mexico on the schedule. And this time around, they were not able to beat us 3 times in a row, but we did still lose 3 games. We went on a 3-game losing streak to Washington, Ohio State, and Wisconsin, finishing at 9-3 again. And it is so weird the one time we won the Big Ten championship was like 5 years ago. I think you can see why I would never do a sim-only rebuild though, why I have to play some games, because we just lost to Arkansas getting blown out in the first round. That's it for this great team. And I know it's supposed to be really challenging to win a national championship, but we had some really solid classes that were on this roster. I would have simmed one more year if the team wasn't constantly losing its best players every season. That's what happens when you recruit top talent. They declare early for the draft, and it's just been downhill ever since we won that national championship, but we got a conference title. We had multiple playoff appearances, and this is a turnaround to Northwestern while only being a recruiter. If you ended up making it this far, I really appreciate y'all. We're so much closer to college football 26. I'm just ready to have a new game, and make sure to watch some more college football 25 content if you're really craving it.